my cup needs to be overflowed before I can share the knowledge. So it was honestly last year I kind of just sat with myself for the whole year. I didn't really show up on Instagram. I didn't really come outside. I was in hibernation mode, just getting the answers, spending time with myself.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Authentically Aligned. How are you feeling today?
Today feels amazing. I woke up today early.
Amazing.
I taught yoga.
Ooh.
I got a salad.
We love it.
You know, my gut issues. So we got the salad, and now we're here.
Beautiful. Amazing. Okay, so I have mocktails for us. So story behind the mocktail. I was at the farmer's market the other day, and there was this woman who was selling these sea moss drinks. So it's soursop and sea moss drink, but I mix it with club soda and lime juice. So it has a little kick to it, a little fancy. So cheers, welcome.
Cheers. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you.
You do get the kick.
It's a little,
I like
it's pretty and cute. Yeah. So anyway, that's our mocktail of the day. You get to name it, so no pressure. At the,
Well,
eventually you can name it.
We'll keep it in the back of the mind.
Okay. So I was just telling our viewers a little bit about you, but you give us a synopsis of who Divinity is and a little about your journey.
Okay, I feel like that is such a deep question. Like it's a lot to unpack because Divinity is evolving every day, and I don't know if you guys know that trend that's happening right now, and it's like, what era did you find me in? And then there's like so many different eras, and I've been thinking about that recently in my life. And I started dancing professionally when I was 12 years old. So people know me as a dancer, Divinity, and then people know me as the NBA dancer, Divinity. And now people are seeing me as Divinity, this healer, wellness girly. So through it all, long story short is I'm Divinity. I'm from New Jersey. Came from a single mom. She worked her ass off to put me in dance. I fell in love with dance and healing and moving. And I am Divinity. Did I even answer the
This is Divinity.
question?
This is Divinity. You started to, yeah. You started to talk about your journey and kind of how you got to where you are today. So I'll ask you this. You said you started dancing at 12 and started healing. Do you feel like you have always been a healing person? Do you feel like that has always been in your blood and in your nature?
I think I didn't know that I was actually a healer my whole life until maybe this past summer. I was raised by my great-grandmother. Her name's Lucy Smith. My middle name is Lucy. And she was sick when she was I could cry right now. We literally just started. I love her so much. But she was sick when she was taking care of me. And as she was sick and dying, I was also taking care of her. But as a little girl, I didn't realize that. So it was always in my nature. And then when she passed away when I was in 6th grade, that's when I found dance and like really took that shit serious and just used it to embody all these heavy feelings that I felt in my body as a kid. You don't really understand how to process grief. Like someone's here and then they're literally just gone. And then it's like, I have to go back to school and like, what? So dance is how I process all those big emotions that I feel. And then throughout life, dance kind of evolved from being an industry dancer to just simply using dance to process big emotions. And so, yeah, I think I've always had that nature in me. And now I'm just like realizing,
Tapped into it.
And I'm like, oh, this is real. Like, you've been doing this work for a long time, whether you knew it or not. And I'm very thankful that I got to experience her.
Yeah.
In the way that I did, because my family, they're from Bermuda, and back in the day, living on an island, just in general, islands are so small. People don't really talk. There's a lot of trauma. So she didn't get to raise her children. She had like 7 or 8 children.
Wow.
she didn't get to raise them. So she was able to raise me and my brother. And like she got her second win in life with us. So
That's beautiful.
I miss her and I love her so much. And when I have kids, my first daughter will be named Lucy,
Aww.
aka Light.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so you have always had healing nature to you. And I think that it's so crazy because it's just evolved in you. And I've also been able to see it evolve in you, which like, you know, you're like, oh my gosh, I could cry. That is a moment that like I could cry because I remember when you and I were both in the dance industry and not in good mental spaces. And so to see us now as friends and partners and healers, just sharing light amongst any and everybody that we can, it makes my heart so happy. So
Thumbs.
yeah, I want you to know I'm grateful for you and to have you on. But
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, so you kind of talked about this a little bit, but what got you really started on your healing journey and your self-discovery journey? I mean, you talked about as a child, but then I feel like there was also an evolution of you as a young adult into adulthood.
Yeah. So, the real hit the fan moment was, I'm like, am I ready? We're
If
doing
you're not
this
ready,
now. We're doing it.
You can.
We're doing it. Guys, I want to preface this by saying this is my first time actually coming down and sitting openly talking about these things. Like people know like bits and pieces. So
Well, I appreciate your vulnerability, and I want you to know that. And I will also appreciate the things that you're not ready to share. And that's okay.
well, we're gonna share. So when I was 23 years old. I booked the best job that a 23-year-old can book. Like prior to me booking this job, I was on tour. I was dancing on 106 in Park. I was just like the it girl in New York City. I mentioned before my brother, he owned a sneaker boutique and he was thriving, like selling consignment sneakers to like Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled. Like it was just me and my brother. We were doing the thing. And I was 23 years old and I was dancing for an NBA team. I was dancing for the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, like becoming this woman, just loving my life. You couldn't tell me anything. And one day at a game, I got a call after the game was over, after performing in front of like 20, 30,000 people, getting a call, being at a super high, and getting a call being like, hey, your brother's shot. He is in critical condition. Like, you need to get to Rahway now. So if you're watching this, if you live in New Jersey or if you've taken the New Jersey Transit train before on a Friday night, you already know what type of energy Penn Station gives after an NBA game. Everybody gets on the train. So imagine, put yourself there. I get this call. I'm like, like freaking out. Like at this time, I'm not healed. So I'm like cursing, just like, I gotta go. I'm running through Penn Station. I get on the Jersey Transit train. People keep calling my phone, telling me different things like, your brother's shot, he's this, he's that. I'm calling my mom, like, she has no idea what's going on. I'm like, Mom, like, where are you? She's like, I'm in Princeton. So Princeton's down here, Rahway's here, I'm in New York. So we're like both coming to the center at the same time. And I'm on this train just like fucking hyperventilating, like shaking, like snot down my eyes. I'm screaming. People are looking at me like I'm an actual crackhead, like off the fentanyl. And I'm just like, no words are coming out of my mouth. And this guy's looking at me and the conductor comes up to me and he's like, ma'am, are you okay? I'm like, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, my brother just like got shot. Like, I need this train to hurry up. I need to get like home. So in my mind, I'm like, I got a checklist of what's happening when I'm getting off this train. Like, it's February, it's freezing cold, it's like 23 degrees outside. I have a suitcase full of expensive ass costumes. And I'm just like, when this train stops, I also have on heels. So I take my heels off. I'm like, when this train stops, you're going to put these heels in your bag. You're going to get off the train. You're going to run. You're going to put this suitcase in somebody's backyard, because I'm not running with this. I'm not running with this suitcase. Put this suitcase down and just go directly to the shop, because my brother's shop was like maybe 0.5 miles away from the train station. So I just did what I said. I put my suitcase down. I'm like barefoot running down the street in the freezing cold. And I'm running, and I see my mom coming towards me with a boyfriend that I had at the time. And they're just looking at me all crazy. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're just like not saying anything. So I just said, "Ugh." I just probably went like, "Ugh." And then I continued to run down the street. And in front of me, what I saw was just like a bunch of homicide trucks, caution tape, and literally just a bunch of people like standing around. It literally looks like what you see on, you can Google it actually. Yeah. It's on Google. Like everything's there. So I pull up and I'm like, what's going on? I'm ripping caution tape, trying to run into the store. The cops are like, ma'am, you can't go in there. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, you're gonna like contaminate the crime scene. And I'm like, I just wanna like see my brother. And then there's people across the street. So the people that are calling my phone now, I'm going across the street to talk to them. Like, what's up? Can somebody say something? No one's saying anything to me. So I just dead punched somebody in their face. I just punched them in their face because I'm like, don't know what to do with this energy. So long story short, I'm just like fucking everybody off. Like, fuck you, get out of here. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, are you waiting for them to pull a body out of the shop? And like, I'm running all around the place. My mom's trying to like hold me. I'm like smacking my head against like shops, like kicking glasses. It was a mess. It was an actual mess. And I'm barefoot the whole time in 23-degree weather in February. Like, wow. So my family's like, you gotta go. Like, we gotta get her out of there. Yeah. And at that moment is when my life changed forever. And I had my first real anxiety attack. And from that, things just continued to pile and stack and stack. And like I said, the boyfriend that I had at the time wasn't the right person that I needed to be with in such a big moment in my life. And so to this day, we still don't know who killed my brother. The case is unsolved. I miss him so deeply. And from him being murdered, it then surfaced into me coming, sorry, I'm gonna take a breath.
Take a second.
From his murder, I then was in a shitty relationship with someone who was physically abusive, mentally abusive, narcissistic, that's what I was attracting, because maybe that's what I was at the time. That's not what I deserved, but that's what I was attracting at the time. I lost faith in God. I developed alopecia. I started losing my hair. But then also on the flip side, no one looking at me actually knew what I was going through. Like, I was struggling with like alcohol abuse and like it was really bad, but no one knew. So I was going through all this. I was still dancing at Madison Square Garden, showing up with my fucking bald spots in my head, taking mascara, trying to cover it. So like Chris Rock and all my little boyfriends, all my fake boyfriends on Celebro who wouldn't see my bald spots. And then I just had a moment with God. Like, I literally had a moment. I took a yoga class actually, and I felt my heart beating again for the first time.
Wow.
And I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, that's your heart. And I just kind of locked into that feeling. And then the boyfriend that I had did something. I just saw him on Snapchat acting a fool. And so the next day I was like, I'm going to an audition. And that audition is what brought me to California. Because I was like, you know what? I just need to dance. Like I said earlier, those big emotions, when I don't know what to do with them, I'm just like, I need to release. So I just went in that audition, and I released, and that audition was for Rap City James Motivating Excellence Program. So then I had like a month and a half just to like collect whatever I could and just say goodbye to everything that I knew in New York City, all my friends, my family, my cool ass job, my like boyfriends in Celeb Bro, the guy that I was dealing with. I had maybe $2,000, and my friend, she was like, you could come sleep on my couch. So I was like, okay. And I packed up all my stuff and I left and I came to LA. I met you, some beautiful people. And because LA is so much slower than New York City, it forced me to deal with my stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And that's when I looked at my shadow and started to actually do the work.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being in that vulnerable space. And I just learned a lot of things that I didn't know. Do you feel, I can only imagine what that felt like moving to LA and being in a place where you know now you have to address these shadows and these demons, and probably also feeling very much alone. Like when you moved here, did you have a base of people that you could rely on or count on or trust? Or was it more so like you kind of were faced even more so because you didn't have that community of people?
Yeah, so the person that I was staying with who let me stay on her couch, we actually have matching tattoos. She was my best friend in high school, but as people evolve, they change. So that was the one person I knew, but it almost felt like I didn't even know her once I moved here. But I was so thankful that the Motivating Excellence program provided me with 20 other people that were on the same exact journey that I was on. So I met people quickly that loved me for me. Like they didn't know the old person.
Yes.
So they were more open to seeing me for who I was and not these other labels I had before I came to LA.
Absolutely.
So it was very hard. When I first moved here, I would go home a lot. And I realized that going home actually was making it worse because I was changing and I would go home. Like people back home in New Jersey, everyone calls me Dee or D. You wouldn't know that. No one here calls me Dee or D. Everyone now calls me Divinity because that is who I am. I am Divinity.
Yes.
So, yeah, it took a while. And then also when I moved here, I taught at a fitness studio called 305 Fitness. So I was able to the studio was in New York. I was able to do the pop-up here in LA. So I met like fitness community through that way. And then also working at Millennium, just immersing myself into dance, I was able to meet you and all the staff at Millennium, and that felt like family. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I barely even talk to anybody back home.
Yeah.
Except for my teammates, like my girls, but people from my hometown.
Do you feel like, of course, you then, okay, so it was slightly on the easier side for you to kind of build different communities. How hard do you feel like it was to build authentic and genuine connections?
See, that's the thing. When I moved here, I know people from the East Coast, we have a different energy. So when I moved here, I was like, what is this? What is this? Like, what is this energy? People used to say to me, you're so aggressive. You're so like straightforward. You're so blunt. I'm like, what other way is there to be? And I even found myself changing who I was or trying to, this heels class, I'm going to dress this way so this person will want to talk to me, or I'm going to befriend this person so I could get close to this choreographer, and that just was very weird. That whole concept is weird to me. Yep. It's still weird now.
Yep.
But back then, I wasn't as strong as I am now, so I was like kind of like falling for anything.
Playing the game.
Playing the game.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep. I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, and I'm a Libra, so like that in itself.
Yeah.
And I know how to be mixy. Like I have the gift of gab. I'm beautiful, like it's.
Yep.
But I will say there are some dope people here, but I had
absolutely.
to get out of the industry.
Yep.
I mean, I have you and like some, but once I got out of the industry and like started doing yoga and surfing, I was like, oh, there's real people in LA.
That was the same experience that I had. And that's a lot of the reason too how I got where I am today, you know, is that transition out of the dance world and doing the healing work. Actually, through the pandemic is when I did a huge majority of my healing work with myself, because I had no choice but to. And then things started opening up again, and I had the opportunity to go back into that dance world. And I was like, that's not good for my mental health. Like, if I go back into this dance world, I don't think I, number one, want to be there. And number two, I don't know what that looks like as this more enlightened version of myself.
Yeah. You were saying, like, going back into that space as an enlightened version of yourself. Like, do you think that okay, how do I say this? Like, I think I always knew the whole time that it was weird. And like I said, I started dancing when I was 12. So even as a 12-year-old, that was a lot of pressure. And the dance world really messed my psyche up.
Absolutely.
And now I'm even still like recovering like body dysmorphia.
Yeah. And for me, so I was always in the dance world, like from young, because my mom was in the dance world.
Right. Same.
So I was in it at the age of 2, and that's all I really knew. And so I don't think that I really ever realized until I started doing the work and working on myself, because I was so immersed in the world of I didn't know any better and I didn't know anything else. And it wasn't weird to me that like, oh no, you're going to this audition, so you should wear this, and you're going to this audition, so you should wear this, and you should look like this for this, and you should look like this for this.
Yeah.
Rather than like, okay, how about you just be you, and whoever likes you is going to like you.
Yeah.
And that was a concept that was so unfamiliar to me.
So foreign. And then also another thing, just like the way that dance makes you, or the industry makes you, judge yourself so hardly. Like, people are like, why are you so hard on yourself? Yeah. Well, because I had to look at myself in the mirror for like 6 hours, like
next to 300 other people.
Next to 300 other people. I was talking to my partner that I have now, and I was like, do you know at the auditions they put you in a line and they whisper in your ear? I was like, have you ever gone to an audition, a job interview? Imagine, and they come up to you and whisper in your ear.
It's sick.
It's so cringe. It's so cringe. But my younger self loved it so much.
We all did.
I loved it, but like you said, what would it feel like now going back? It would really have to be the right opportunity. Energy. I went to go take class the other day and I cried.
I think I told you I went to go take class the other day and I left. I pulled up in my car and I was like, ooh, this doesn't feel right. And I came home.
Yeah. So what like, I'm like, now for younger dancers, like, what is the component that's missing? I think it's a mindfulness part.
I think it's absolutely the mindfulness. I think it's the self-awareness amongst mentors and those who are influencing the young. Because when you're surrounding yourself as an adult, if you're surrounding yourself around young children, they are mimicking and mirroring everything that you do because they look up to you.
Right.
And if your actions or your values are showing less than that, less than the self-awareness, less than the, oh my gosh, there's so many words in my head right now. But I guess to summarize, I would say the influence that these older people have on these younger generations. And I think that the mindset of a lot of our generation and generations older is a very toxic, unhealthy mindset in pertaining to work, life balance, in pertaining to morals and values, the shoulds and shouldn'ts, and just humanity. I don't think that I don't
seriously, dead ass for humanity.
It's funny, but it's not funny because it's almost inhumane the way that the industry and the society is of not valuing people for who and what they are. And that's something that I've spoken on in a previous podcast episode, is that I was putting my value in every little thing but myself, whether it be relationships, whether it be jobs, whether it be whatever I was booking. That's where my value was, because that's all I knew.
Right.
And that's, reel it back. Like, let these young children, adolescents, find value in themselves, help them to find value in themselves so that they are able to show up, be confident, and have a purpose in what they're doing.
Exactly. No, it's super important. I totally agree with you. Like, I teach kindergartners and I teach kindergartners dance. And the first thing that we do in our hip hop dance class is we practice mindfulness.
I love that.
I put them on the floor and we breathe and we learn how to channel energy and create energy and understand what we can do with our energy. And then from there, we freestyle. And I'm like, what's freestyle? Ask them. Our own personality, how we should be. And I'm like, yes, and how it looks for you is exactly how it looks for you. It doesn't have to look like the next person.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, the industry is the industry, but dance as a whole, I love it so much.
Yes.
I love dance so much, and that's why Divinity and Motion, my dance fitness classes that I do, like, I'm able to incorporate dance along with boxing and mindfulness to just give a whole experience,
all around experience.
Yeah.
But I think that's so important, and there's so many that don't realize or even understand how important movement is on your healing journey. It's huge. And I was having a conversation the other day. I was at the gym with this woman that I see frequently, and one day we had a conversation, and I was telling her, she was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I hate it here. I don't know how you do this every day. I don't want to be here. And I said, it's really about my mind. I come here and I will address the things that I'm dealing with or going through. And as I'm doing that, I'm releasing that energy.
Exactly.
As I'm moving my body, that energy is leaving me. I had this conversation with her, and I saw her about a week later, and she was like, you completely changed me.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me, because you changed me. And it's true. So I love that you have such a healing energy and are able to incorporate so many different modalities of healing into what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And on that note, I want to ask, what kind of got you started in wanting to share that with others?
Well, I guess I was always teaching fitness. I always taught children's dance, but yoga, like, when I learned about yoga for myself, because I used to take yoga classes here and there, but it didn't really stick. I felt my heartbeat. It didn't really stick. And then one day, after taking so many classes at Millennium, having no work-life balance in the industry, my back was hurting so bad. And I was like, what do I do? Like, my back hurts. Like, and I was like, just go to your roof and do some yoga. And then I fell in love with the practice.
Wow.
It was so deep and enriching and made me face my shadows here in LA. So the yoga practice was so intimate to me that I was just like, I want to learn more just simply for myself. COVID happened. Everybody's like, what do we do? I went to Nicaragua and I was just surfing, living my life. I found a yoga teacher training and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Not with any hopes to share, just to learn more. So I got my certificate, and at the end of our ceremony, our yoga teacher said, you now have the torch. Like, it is your job to share this information.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. Still didn't want to be a yoga teacher.
Okay, cool.
A year and a half went by until I was like, okay, I think I'll dabble a little bit in teaching like in the corporate yoga realm, but also I need to build a more intimate relationship with God and get the answers that not even the answers, just hear his voice clearly on how he wanted me to show up and move, and also to be emotionally intelligent to handle this work that I'm going to do. Because if you want to serve a bunch of people, you have to be emotionally intelligent. And I needed to make sure all my stuff, obviously things are always changing, but all of the things that needed to be patched up were solid before I can give myself, because how can I be a healer and like give from a half-ass cup? Like my cup needs to be overflowed before I can share the knowledge. So it was honestly last year, I kind of just sat with myself for the whole year. I didn't really show up on Instagram. I didn't really come outside. I was in hibernation mode, just getting the answers, spending time with myself, listening, reading, reading. And yeah, and then I was like, okay, it's time. I'm like, let's do this. We're ready.
Yeah. And you feel good. It was like, that was a good decision.
Oh, it was the best decision ever. I think it's always God's way. And it's just like when the time is right.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. And God's timing is so divine. And just, the work that we're doing now, we've only taught, how many classes did we do?
3.
3. And out of the 3 class, the first class we had 20 people. The second class we had 20 people. So that's 40 people. And the other class we had maybe 7 or 8. So it's almost 50 people. And that's just the work that we do bi-weekly.
Yep.
Yep. So when the momentum picks up, when it's time to go. When God says go, you go. When you feel that push, you have to flow with what is happening, or you are going to get pummeled. When I don't listen to what God is saying to me, everything blows up in my face and I look like an ass.
Because if you don't listen the first time, he's going to show you again and again and again until you sit your ass down and listen.
And then you're just going to be in a cycle like, oh my gosh, that meme? It's like, it's a SpongeBob episode and Mr. Crab is like there and everything is just going around him and he's just like trying to get his life. But no, everything is already predestined and laid out for us.
I agree.
It was just things that I needed to do, like generational things. Not even within myself, like within my mom and my grandma, and really understanding my roots. And yeah, like this past summer, I went to Bermuda. I had 2 family reunions this summer. One for the Bermudian side of my family that I did not know. And when I tell you, it was maybe like 400 people.
Wow.
On the beach in Bermuda. And that's my family.
Wow.
And then I go to North Carolina with my mom's father's side of the family. My grandfather, he died when I was like 2, so I don't really remember him. I just see photos. So I go to that family reunion and they asked me to choreograph like a production number with all the cousins to a song called Tent Revival. And it was about 30 of those people. And I put this number on and it changed the whole like energy and the trajectory of what these family reunions are going to be. And just also being in a room with, again, almost 50 Black people that look like me, that speak the same language. I was just like, they've done the work for you. All you have to do is just step into it. Like, what are you afraid of? Because for a long time, I was afraid of success because of what happened to my brother. I was like, well, if I get too big, they're going to try to kill me too. Like, what's the point of trying to work hard for your dreams and aspirations if it could just be taken away from you like that? So that was my whole, when I talk about like emotionally intelligent, this is what I'm talking about. So once I was able to like pack that away and just be like, oh, okay. Then I was able to just show up in my most authentic self. And people say that all the time, like, oh, you're just so authentic. And I'm like, I don't know how else to be.
Yeah.
And I think you don't want to see the fake version. You don't want to see it. It's not cute. It's weird.
I think it's incredible that you really were intentional about the time that you spent doing that reflection and the learning and reading and just diving in, because I know that right now healing and wellness and so many different aspects are now just trending and a fad. And it is, I think, hard to come by the authentic people and the true people who mean well and also have the knowledge and the understanding and, like you said, the emotional intelligence to help guide people and help to lead people and show people the way. And I think that it's incredible and beautiful that you took that time. It also says a lot about you and your character, and it says a lot about what you are doing for the world and the things that you want to do and continue to do. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And especially like with Instagram, everything happens so fast, and then you can feel like you missed your mark, or when I show up again, are people even going to remember me?
But what is Instagram? Like for me, I think that, yes, of course, it's great to have an online presence, but I think that the work that I do personally, like face to face with somebody there, is so much more powerful.
For sure. For sure. I agree with that as well. But like I said, when I was in hibernation mode, I wasn't really going outside. I wasn't even like seeing people. And yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just because it's a lot. And also like living in LA, there's so many things. There's a yoga studio on every corner. There's a pop-up here. There's just so much stuff that can make you feel like, what's the point of me even doing this if it's just so much stuff going on? But when you know that your stuff is good,
it's real, it's authentic, it's genuine,
then the right community will come. And I'm really thankful for what is happening and the momentum that's going. Like, Nicolette knows this year I plan to leave LA actually and go to Australia from March till, what was it, June?
June?
Yeah, I was gonna go for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I was like, not me. God was like, I went to an audition and I got hired at a new yoga studio. I'm not going to disclose it now, but look out for it. Y'all going to be like, yo, she did that. So I got hired at this new yoga studio that's going to be opening up, and I'll be able to serve a community that is so in line with what I want. I'm building community here, and your mark is never missed. Like the time that you spend in hibernation mode or the time that you take to do the work, it's just time.
And it's for a reason. It's within reason. And sometimes it takes you sitting in that hibernation mode, not sometimes, I think all the time, of you have to do that work in order to get to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
In order to step into what it truly is that you want to do. So if you had spent the past year not doing that, spinning wheels, whatever, the chances of this, where you are right now, happening probably would be further down the line.
Oh, it would have been so further down the line. Also, what I didn't say is the past year, what forced me into hibernation mode is because my ego and my soul had a dance, and my ego fucking lost. My ego thought it would be a good idea to dance for another NBA team to see if I still had it and I could keep up with the young kids. That experience, it was just a really hard, like, it was just a battle. And I'm like, why is this so hard? Like, I've done this before. I like dancing. Why am I stressing out? Why am I calling my boyfriend before performances crying? Wow. Why after do I go home and I just want to cry? And the crazy part about it is I'm meditating before the games. I'm doing the yoga. I'm in the bathroom praying. And I still feel like...
You felt it in your soul.
My soul was on empty, to the point that I was overworked and underpaid and end up injuring myself. And I couldn't lift my arm past 90 degrees for almost 6 months out the year.
Wow.
That's what forced me into my hibernation mode. And I had to re-identify myself again, because the divinity I knew was the divinity, the dancer, the mover. And I couldn't do that. So I was like, what is actually happening right now?
Wow. Do you feel like, well, I mean, obviously you said it forced you into that. What was that mental process like of not being able to move your body the way that you wanted to, and having to sit still and address things that you need to address, but when you're so used to addressing them with movement?
That's a good one. It was really hard. I cried a lot.
Well, you had to release.
I had to
somehow.
release. This is what I started to do. I started going on hot girl walks because I couldn't surf either. I couldn't surf. I couldn't dance. I couldn't do anything. So I started honestly walking. I live really close to Runyon Canyon, so I would start going on hikes. And it was so unlike me because if you asked me before to go on a hike, I would be like, no, it's going to give me shin splints. I don't hike. I'm from the city. I'm a city girl. But I started hiking, and through my hikes, I would make videos for TikTok, and I would be like, Healing Girl Hikes, and I would just tell stories about different things that I did to help me around my journey. I would download sermons on my phone so that I can just listen to them as I'm hiking, and that's honestly what I did to keep myself mobile.
What got you through?
Yeah, because I couldn't do a push-up, couldn't do anything. Putting a purse on,
and now look at you.
Her shoulder still. She's trying. But yeah, it's completely different now. But I'm thankful that my ego and my soul had that dance. And because ego deaths, they're really, if you had one before, you know why I'm taking this breath. Ego deaths they're hard, but when your soul wins and you surrender to God's will, then it's really, really, really bright on the other side.
It's empowering. It's powerful. I would say life-changing as well, for sure. But I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was, but a lot of great things happened through the process too.
Yeah. I mean, everything happens for a reason.
For sure.
Do you feel like it also was a test?
Ultimate test. Isn't like everything a test? It was the ultimate test. And I think it was God's way of being like, because that was a moment where I could have been like, forget you, God. All of what you said is crap. Or I could be like, okay, I'm going to lean on not my own understanding, but lean on your faith. Yeah. And that's literally what I did. And I just continued to lean, trust and lean in the church, tithing. And I was just like, I don't have a job right now, but I'm gonna keep giving my little $5 and $10 here and there. And through it all at the end of the test, because it's almost been about a year now since I quit the job dancing with the NBA team. So almost a year. So a year later, I would say I passed the test.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks. Just ready for the next one, but give me a
second. Let me recover first. Catch my breath. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what your self-care practices look like. Do you have morning routines, nightly routines, daytime routines? What does that look like for you?
Honestly, every day is different. But I'm learning from my good friend Nicolette that your morning and nighttime routine is very important. And it just honestly depends on what the day before looks like.
Of course.
But always when I wake up in the morning, this month of January, I did a 21-day meditation challenge with Deepak Chopra, and that was amazing. So I'll start with the meditation in the morning. If I have time, I like to do my own yoga practice. Mornings.
Are you a morning person?
It honestly depends on what I have to do.
Okay.
I'm a Libra, guys, so it's like...
She's like this always.
It's like... What do you want? Can I sleep into 11? Absolutely. Can I wake up at 7 o'clock and get something done? Am I waking up at 5 to go to the gym like you? Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. But at nighttime, my nighttime routine is my face routine is the same. I'm very consistent to that.
That's beautiful.
That is one thing I'm like, if I can be more disciplined in the areas of my life like I am with my face routine.
So it'll be a game changer.
Game changer. So yeah, but self-care practices, I honestly, I just like to be intentional with what my body needs in that moment. Sometimes it might need more than others. In the shower, I have, this is something I did to help myself. I got a new shower head. I got a Jolie shower head in my shower, which changed the game because LA water is so harsh.
Yep.
And then along with my Jolie, I got some eucalyptus to hang over my shower head.
I love that.
And then I have my little Florida water that I throw in the shower before I get in.
You have a whole shower experience.
That's my experience. So I guess that's one of my little self-care tips.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What are ways that you replenish yourself when you're feeling like your cup is empty?
I just don't talk to anybody.
Mm.
I would just go in my little cave. I take the cats and I just do nothing. The other week I got a massage because my body needed it, but most of the time I just try not to talk because when I do come outside, I have to. I am the light. You have to be the light. So, also traveling.
Okay.
When I feel like I need to get away, I'll go travel.
Yeah.
And then
Experience.
And then when I'm traveling, I don't really like use my phone. I just put it down.
So you feel like you're more somebody who retreats inward?
Oh yeah.
Like you'll just stay inside.
I'll stay inside. Just don't talk to me. My mom's calling me. Like she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need a beat. I need a beat."
That's beautiful, though. I feel like for me, I am one. I have to get outside because I think that if I stay inside, like it doesn't matter. I can be by myself. That's fine. But if I stay inside, it's almost like I don't know. It doesn't refill my cup. It empties my cup more.
I can understand that.
So it's like I have to get outside, whether it's probably going to the beach. That's what I do. Or going on a hike, going outside in nature. And I feel like that's where I'm able to recenter with myself, but also fill my cup from outside places.
Exactly.
And without taking on energy of others.
I guess I have to get better at that, of not taking on energy of others when I go outside, because sometimes
it's a practice though.
I'm just
It happened. Like
yeah, I literally this one man in my building, he cleans and he's there every day, but every time I go outside, I'm like, I have to run past him or I'm gonna stand there and talk for 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And that happens often. But I definitely enjoy the sun on my skin. Ugh, that's a real filler upper. Love a vitamin D.
It sure is.
I want to go to the beach more, but LA traffic is just.
I get that.
And then also now that that surfing, I can't really do it as much. It makes me sad.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But also, okay, so traffic, I feel like you have to. It was so interesting. I was in the car with somebody the other day. Someone pulled out in front of me, and I just like kept driving. Like blah, blah. They were like, "How did you not just lose your mind right now?"
Yeah.
And it was so crazy for me to hear that because Nicolette, like, if anybody knows, both like my mom, my brother, everybody is like, calm down when you're driving. Like, it's gonna be okay. Yeah. And so to have that moment, but I feel like it became more of like a meditative practice of me driving and practicing mindfulness and keeping awareness of myself. And like, also, you just never know what somebody's day looked like. You have no idea. You have no idea who you're passing or who you're honking at and what their day looked like. And there are days when I am running late and I'm speeding through and I'm cutting somebody off and like it's not justified. But I think that I have started to have more compassion for people while on the road. And that has become a meditative practice in itself.
For sure. For sure. I don't really listen to music while I drive.
There are times when I do, but to be honest, a lot of times it's silent. And I am in my thoughts always because that's like my time. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about meditation. So you've been meditating in the mornings and you said that you've been doing a challenge. In other ways, how do you meditate? Like what does your typical meditation practice look like if you're not following a challenge?
Okay. So on a good day...
We all have our good days and our bad days.
On a good day, it looks like waking up, grabbing some water, going straight outside with my mat, going straight outside, taking my journal with me. I'll start just usually writing first. I'll write, just journal whatever is on my brain. And then I'll start with some breath work into a yoga practice. Nothing crazy. Just maybe a couple sun salutations, do some abs, open my hips, and then meditation, listening for however long that takes, and then go about.
That's beautiful.
The day.
I love that practice. Do you find it easier to meditate with music? Do you find it easier to meditate in silence? Do you find it easier to follow guided meditations? Or does it depend on the day?
I'll just talk about my yoga teacher experience. When I was in my yoga teacher training, it started at 6:00 in the morning, and we had a meditation from 6 to 7. We could not talk from 6 to 7, and then we would practice asana. That's the physical practice of yoga for like 2 hours, and then we would eat lunch, and then we were able to talk. So when I was like training, when I was doing my 200 hours, it was to no music, and that's when I got the most clarity. So when I am meditating, like there's no music, I would prefer no music. While doing yoga, when I'm teaching yoga, I prefer to teach with no music, just because it's very overpowering, and I don't want to fight what these lyrics are saying. Unless it's a good song and like things are moving slower, then put the lyrics. When I practice, I like asana. I like to listen to music. I like to listen to old school like rap, Lauryn Hill, like like New York rap. And so yeah.
Okay, that's beautiful. What is a practice that you think everybody should do?
I don't want to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but definitely breath work. Because
Why?
your breath is your power. Your breath is with you from the moment you enter this space and until you leave. And when you're able to control your breath, your prana, your chi, you can slow your nervous system down. And and to regulate your nervous system is very important. And when you have that connection to your breath, like even right now, if you just everyone pause, and take an inhale, exhale. You can just feel a little bit different off of one breath. So yeah, just understanding how powerful your breath is. Breath work.
In any instance. And it's something that you can do at all times, anywhere you are, any situation. Like,
and most people don't even realize it, but I huh a lot throughout the day, and I'm pretty sure other people do it too. But in that moment, you're releasing something. You're seeking breath. So imagine what would happen if you're like more intentional about it.
Absolutely, and have a reason behind it.
A breathwork technique that I really enjoy is Kapalabhati breaths. It's called fire breaths. And you do that by like with a forceful pumping action of your stomach and forceful exhales. And when you're doing that, you're creating heat in your body, fire breath. You create heat in your body, and it releases natural DMT in your body. So you feel like a little high, and you release endorphins. And within all that, it's cleansing, helps your immune system, it helps your respiratory. So a little nugget to take away, Kapalabhati breaths.
Yeah. I practiced that breath the other day when you were leading class, and I was like, oh, this is incredible. Just the feeling that I felt afterward.
Yeah, and then in my yoga teacher training, strive for this. We did 5 rounds of 100. It hurt. It hurts, but it's so good, and you will be snatched. The dancer in me.
It's snatching, but it gives you almost like a head high, I guess you want to say, if you do it properly and you're consistent with it. And then you are able to, it's a different experience. It's an experience.
Try it. Let me know. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, try it and then let us know in the comments. But yeah, breathwork is super important. Speaking of breathwork, do you do cold plunging? Have you?
I mean, I have done the cryo freeze.
Okay.
A cold plunge when I was surfing. That water was mad cold. Okay, I tried to take cold showers, like in the morning, not at night. In the morning, I'll like put it really cold, but I haven't like gone for it.
I'm gonna take you cold plunging.
Yes.
But I bring all this to say that in my experience with cold plunging, I was lucky enough. The first time I went, it was a friend who owned a space where they did contrast therapy, and he was there and he talked me through the cold plunge, and it was 1000% about the breath work and about calming your breath, because the first thing that you want to do when you get in a cold plunge is like hyperventilate, you know? And to be able to master that and control your breath, that's what gets you through it. And then it becomes a mastery. It becomes another form of meditation, another form of breath work. And it's about telling your body, or letting your body know that it's safe. You're okay. I'm putting you here. This is safe. But that is something that I have added into my practice, because as you were talking about breath work, regulating your nervous system, doing that in a cold plunge is a whole different game, because you're double regulating your nervous system.
It's like, what are you doing?
It's like, what's going on?
Right.
But I definitely feel that once I started doing that, it was, number one, empowering. And number two, I was able to find even much more mental clarity, because when you're putting your body in these stressful situations, you're doing these hard things, then you're able to put things into perspective and empower yourself.
Exactly.
So I recommend it to anybody. Try cold plunge. Contrast therapy is my favorite, and I'm going to take you with me.
Yeah, we'll vlog. We'll vlog it.
Day in the life. As Divinity. That's what I'm going to say. As Divinity, what are some ways that you continue to educate yourself in your practices, in your emotional intelligence, self-awareness? How do you continue to educate yourself?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. I think first, foremost, and always, I will always be a student, just like a student of life. I have recently been talking about like what certifications do I want to get next, because I feel I'm calling in a teacher. I keep saying that, like I'm ready for a new teacher. But yeah, and when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Yep. So I'm like getting ready.
I'm ready to learn.
Just for mental clarity and emotional intelligence, it's just really reading the Bible and understanding the words understanding the word that's already written, and because my calling, it's already written there for me, and what I need to do, it's already written there, and how I need to act and how I need to show up, it's there. It might look a little different for me, and that's okay, because it's not black and white. Like it's, you know, another thing I enjoy doing is going to church and listening to different people speak. Reading, like I said, reading like the Bible. More so recently, I've been going to other teachers' yoga classes, like here in LA, just to understand more, because there is more out here that I don't know. This year specifically, I really want to do pre and postnatal certification, because I think it's important. I don't know. I guess my motherly like instincts are kicking in, and I really want to get certified in Pilates.
Yes.
Although I've done a 600-hour like personal training school like back in the day, I still want to refresh those skills or whatever. And then also comedic yoga is really important to me. Comedic yoga is, or what they say, I don't really know much about it. I still want to understand more, but it's like yoga, that the first yoga ever founded in Egypt.
Wow.
From like the Egyptians or the brown people, black people, however you want to call it. So it's their philosophy and how it originally was. And I want to see how that feels on my body, and how that teaching aligns with who I am. So those are things that I'm looking forward to this year, to continue to learn more, just to, you know, strengthen my abilities as a student and always just learn more.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
I love that.
Thanks.
What are some of your favorite books that you would recommend?
Yeah. So growing up, I was never really a reader. I was just like, I just want to dance. Like, you want me to read? You want me to do math? You want me to do science? What? No. But my therapist, he said to get the book called The Road Less Traveled. I love that book. Another great one is Nonverbal Communication.
Ooh.
Or nonviolent. It might be nonviolent communication, rather.
Okay.
Nonviolent communication. Have you, that thing changed just everything about me, because my throat chakra used to be so clogged. Like, I wasn't able to speak. There were a lot of things that I needed to say, but I didn't know how to just say it in an effective way so people can hear what I'm saying. in how to express my feelings that I need something in return from this. So yeah, nonviolent communication, the road less traveled. I literally just did an Instagram story about this, so I'm like trying to think about what I wrote. The Bible. I'm always gonna say that, the Bible. um, I am a badass at making money. I really like her story.
Yeah.
I'm a badass at making money, and talking about that hibernation phase. Like in her book, she talked about like, hey, I had to go to a farm somewhere with goats and this and that, and able to just hibernate to get the answers that I needed. And also the 7 spiritual laws.
Yes.
Is it of success?
Of success.
Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Those are
they're all great. Well, there's some of them that I have not read, but yes.
Also The Alchemist.
Oh yeah. That's literally by my bed right now. That's funny.
That's a good
one. And what about podcasts? Do you listen to podcasts? And what are some podcasts, if you can think of any, that have impacted you?
I'm not really like too much of a podcast girly.
Okay.
When I listen, when I'm listening to the podcast, I listen to One Church podcast to listen to their sermons. I like Good Moms, Bad Choices.
Ooh.
The 2 founders, Mila and Erica, I met them in Costa Rica like a couple years ago, and just watching their journey evolve and the people that they bring on their episodes, they're just mad authentic and it's super real.
Are there other ways that you feel, I mean, you kind of explained the ways that you continue to educate yourself and even, I guess I would say, challenge your mind?
I feel like my mind's always, this may sound bad, but I feel like my mind is always at war.
Okay.
Because the journey is, what happened to you, it still happened to you. It's still there. So I try to use these practices and these tools and techniques that I have to have my mind chill out. Because if I didn't have these resources, then it would be a totally different story. Another ways I like to challenge my mind is I've started taking, like I said earlier, I started taking more yoga classes, and yoga classes that I would never take. Like this is class called Hot Power Fusion. It's almost like Bikram, but not Bikram.
Okay.
And that has really shifted my whole mindset on asana, the practice, and like how I'm showing up on my mat and what it feels like to just be a student again. Because teaching all the time is just like, when I first started teaching yoga a lot, I forgot that like, hey, you still need to practice. Like this is still your practice. Hence why I didn't want to be a yoga teacher.
You started for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and then also just surrounding myself around people that are going to challenge me and that are going to make me want to level up and be a better person.
That's beautiful. Okay, is there anything that you feel that we didn't speak on that you would like to talk about or share with our listeners?
Yeah, so I also have a nonprofit organization that...
Don't laugh.
Listen, I'm media trained, so sometimes I can like...
Turn on. She turned on real quick. But don't laugh. I'm like, yes, plug your nonprofit. We want to hear about it.
So yeah, I have a nonprofit organization that me and my mom founded after the passing of my brother. It's called the Molly Gaines Foundation. And what we do in our program is we help young boys guide their way into manhood. When I was back living on the East Coast, we did more, where we would go every weekend to a community center and we would bring different leaders in from New Jersey to teach these boys how to tie a tie, how to make a bank account, how to just respect others. We even took them white water rafting before. And like that's huge for a little black boy to go white water rafting. Like you black people, they go, oh, black people don't swim. That's not true. But anyway, we have our nonprofit organization and I want to just plug that and the work that we're doing there.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What are there some projects that you have in the works right now?
Yeah, so my mom's currently doing school tours. She just did she did 2 this month. And we give a scholarship. Sorry, this stuff gets heavy for me and then my words start getting choppy. I told you guys my throat chakra.
It's okay.
We have a scholarship that we give out to at the end of the year. So we're always accepting donations for the scholarship that we give the boys. And then also the school tour that we're doing now, we're launching is like No More Traumedy for Kids, and just helping kids understand how to process emotions that they're feeling in their body and turn it into a positive. So that's what we're doing right now.
I love that. And I love that it's starting at a young age, helping them to, in whatever it is, and helping them to feel that they are not alone, that they're supported in the things that they're going through, and to be able to learn that vulnerability at such a young age is also really important. So
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Thank you. Because apparently they say that like before the people came into the shop and killed him, for lack of better words, unalived him, when they were having a conversation and he was saying like, if anything were to happen to me, like I want a foundation named after me. I want to make sure that like my mom and my sister are like good. And so once we found out that information, and my mom was just like, I have to keep his legacy alive. And then also growing up, like I said, my mom, she was a single mom. So my brother, he went to a program called the Mr. Rogers program, where there were community leaders that helped these young boys understand what it is to be a man. So we implemented some of those principles into the program, as well as like the business mindset that my brother had, to just like put this all together, because it starts with the youth. And like people don't understand, like children, they're literally sponges.
Yes.
And what happens to them as children will stick with them forever until they face the shadow. And you don't want to be 50 years old like, okay, here's my shadow. Like, no, just let's nip this in the bud now, so that we can live life with effortless ease. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Thanks.
I love it. Well, I'm so grateful for you in number one, just coming on here, being vulnerable, sharing this space with me. And number two, I'm grateful for having you a part of this community that we are collectively building.
Yeah.
It makes my heart so happy. And those of you who are in LA, you need to come check us out. We're doing bi-weekly events. We're going to be hosting larger scale events too, but sound healing, intention setting, yoga, and just community and authenticity and healing.
Yes.
So definitely join us. But it's been such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. Cheers. Cheers.